Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me in this lightning talk. In the next about 20 minutes, I want to walk you through some of the challenges of implementing a complex design system and how Flutter theming can be of help for that. Let me start with a quick introduction. My name is Elvira. I work as a mobile software engineer at ING in the Netherlands, where I am mainly involved in Flutter development. And apart from that, I am also a proud Flutterista member. I don't know if you already know about the community. In case you don't, we have a booth downstairs, and also we are going to have a panel in the next time slot, so feel free to join. Okay, back to our presentation. In Flutter, we have this strong concept of theming, which refers to the process of abstracting and centralizing your design rules so that you can reuse them throughout the code base. And this concept is really popular, and that's because it is strongly enforced by the framework itself. If you think about the material library, for example, it provides us with an object to define a theme, which is the theme data object. And it is nothing else than a collection of key value pairs where you can place your styling rules. And this object can then be consumed in multiple ways. The most common one would be to pass it through at the very root of your app, in the material app. And in this way, your theme will be inherited by the whole subtree. And something that is super nice with the material app is that you can also provide a dark implementation for your theme, which, in my opinion, is real magic because it will save you a lot of time when you are styling your app. In addition, the material library also comes with some default theme, which you can find under the theme_data.light and .dark constructors. And it is important to notice that, of course, these default themes follow the material style guides. And in fact, all the widgets in the material library are designed as per the material design system. Another way to use the theme data object is in the theme object instead. And this is a common way and a convenient way to provide a variation of your main theme for a specific subtree. So what you could do is to get the inherited widget, the inherited theme, and then chain to it a copy with method. And so in this way, you are copying your main theme, and but replacing some of the old values with new ones. And so the subtree for this widget will have still the same theme that you have at root, but with some variations. And this copy with method is just one of the many utilities that comes with the material theme. I won't be covering all of them today because we don't have enough time, but you are free to have a look on Dart.dev. They really open infinite possibilities. Okay, so we understood what theming is in Flutter and how it works, but what about the styling process? So how a widget knows how they are going to style themselves. And to decide that, a widget goes through a process made of 3 steps. The first one is to check at the styling parameter in the constructor of the widget. So in the example of text widget, this would be the style parameter. And all the stylings that we are providing here will have the highest priority over any other styling that we are providing anywhere else. Next step is to check at the nearest instance of an inherited theme. And this is what we just saw with the material app when we provided theme data, because that will be inherited by the subtree. And finally, for the styling that were not overridden neither in the widget constructor or in inherited theme, the fallback is the default theme, so the ones that we find under the theme_data.light and dark constructors. So as you can see, the process of styling goes bottom to top, and it is important to keep this in mind, especially considering that there are many ways to styling a widget in Flutter, right? So you may find yourself stuck in a situation when, where you are trying to edit the styling of your widget, and you notice that your widget doesn't reflect it, and it is probably because you are overriding that somewhere else that has a higher priority, so you may want to check that. Okay, so we can already wrap up some of the benefits of using material theme. So we saw that you can abstract to your styling rules so that you will need to style your widgets in line in the widget implementation itself, and you can have a much more concise implementation. You can centralize this, the styling system because you can just define a single object that will wrap all the styling rules, so you will always know where to have a look at when you want to make some edits. And finally, we saw that dark mode will be dynamically managed by the framework itself. All you need to do is just to provide a dark implementation for it. So everything looks really nice, but the material theme also comes with some limitations. And the main reason is that it is designed upon the material design system. And so what this means is that you will most probably need to adapt the design system of your app on the material one, because it is unlikely that your design system reflects the material one 100%. For example, for the project I work on, if you take the typography, we have a completely different system, both for naming and structure. And what it also means is that if you have a custom widget and you want to provide a custom theme for that, of course you cannot place in the theme. You cannot place it in the theme data. And so, what can you do if, for example, you have a custom typography that you would like to centralize in the same way? A first solution that you may think of is to just define your stylings, maybe wrap them in a class, and then call them in your widget implementations. This is totally fine. It will work, but you are losing in this way the capability of dynamically managing the dark mode. And so for that, you will need to implement something yourself, something to programmatically switch between the two modes. And I think most of you will agree with me that in the long run, this is not really a sustainable solution. That's why I want to propose you two different approaches to solve this problem. The first one is possible thanks to the inherited widget. Let's have a look at how we can implement this by trying to implement the custom musical typography that we just saw a second ago. So first, we need to define an object for our theme, and this will extend the inherited widget interface. And what we need in this object is a child for sure. This ideally will be your app. And then as many theme configurations as you desire. In our case, we only want to implement the light and the dark mode. And these two will be the actual theme data of your theme. So let's see what this theme data looks like. And it is an abstract class with abstract declarations for all the stylings that you want. And then the concrete implementation will be of your stylings will be taken care of by the concrete implementation of the theme data. Back to our theme object, because we extend the inherited widget interface, we also have to override the update should notify method. And this will notify the widget that are inheriting from this when a change happens. And last thing, you need to implement a method that can be called wherever in the app, and that will return the theme data. Typically, such a method in Flutter is called off, so we are going to follow the same convention. And what you do inside is first to look for the nearest instance of the type of your theme. And you also want to make sure that one actually exists up in the tree. Then you check for your theme mode, and this will be the one and only place where we are doing this check, so we won't need to do it later on. And then you return the theme based on this last check. We are almost done. We only need to provide the theme to our app, and to do that, you can wrap your app with the theme. And so you can now finally use the custom theme that you just implemented. And what I like of this is that on the consumer side, it really looks like the material theme. So it is nice. And comparing the two approaches, so we can, see that the inherited widget approach is has much more freedom. It is actually limitless, because we could say, because you can really implement the theme for everything you want. But for this very reason, I would suggest such an approach only if you have a highly customized app where maybe you are not using the material library, because otherwise you would still need to use the material theme, most probably. And in my opinion, having a hybrid approach like this, where you're using both the material and your custom ones, it's not really simplifying your life, but actually it is adding up more complexity and also like more cognitive load. But if you want to still have a combination of the two, you can do that thanks to the theme extensions. And as per Flutter docs, theme extension is an interface that defines custom addition for the material theme data object. And you can provide extensions to the theme data thanks to the extensions property, which is an iterable of theme extension type. So let's see how we can implement a theme extension. And in our example, we are going to implement a custom theme for a music player widget. So to do that, first thing, you define your class to represent the theme. And this time will extend the theme extension interface with self as generic type. And what you will need inside this class will just be the properties that you want to use to style your widgets. And now, because we are extending an interface, of course, we also have to override some methods. And this part is a bit boring because there is a lot of boilerplate code, but there isn't really a workaround this. But most of the time, you will find yourself with just like copying and pasting the same code because the implementation will be kind of always be the same. You will just need to like replace your property names. And the methods I'm talking about are, the first one is copy with. We already saw it some slides before. And the second one is the lerp method. What the lerp method does is to interpolate between the two themes. So it is related to animation. Basically, it makes sure that when you are switching between themes on the runtime, you are doing that with a nice and smooth transition. Okay, we are all set now. We can consume our theme. And first, we provide our extension to the theme data together with its configurations. And then, through this line of code, we can access the extensions and its properties. Now, the problem with this is that it is kind of a long line of code, I would say. Personally, I really don't want to deal with such a long line of code every time that I want to recall a style. So for that, I want to give you like one last small tip. What you can do to improve this is to create an extension on the build context and have a getter in there to your theme. And so next time you can access to it in a much shorter way. And of course, in the extension, you can not only provide themes for widgets, but also for typography, for colors, for layouts even, you just name it. And it is obvious, but still worth to mention, you can still provide the dark mode for your extensions. Okay, so we are almost at the end of the presentations. We saw 3 different approaches to create a theme for your app. And each of them has its pros and cons, I would say. So the question is, which one should I use for my app? Well, there isn't a single answer for this because it really depends on your project. But I will try to put it simple. So next time you are going to style your app, you may ask this question. So first, Is the design system of my app maybe simple and also kind of inspired by the material one? Then it's really easy. You just go with the base material theme. You don't really need any customization. Then if your app is instead highly customized and maybe even a bit crazy, the best approach would be to go for an inherited widget, because that's the one that gives you the most freedom. And finally, which I think is the most common case, if you still want to use the material library, so the material widgets, but still need some space for a more complex customization, that theme extension is your solution. And if I had to leave you with like just one takeaway away from this presentation, this would be Flutter theming is really powerful. I hope this presentation could show a bit of that. So if you find yourself struggling with it, you most probably just need to rethink of your approach and you'll be all fine. Thank you very much.